Today, New York's Attorney General released body cam video and called what happened shocking and disturbing. Here's Sam Brock, and a warning, this video is graphic.
Newly released shocking video shows these correctional officers fatally beating an inmate, Robert Brooks. The footage, blurred and redacted by state authorities, shows officers repeatedly kicking and punching Brooks in the legs and chest and trying to jam an object down his throat. New York's Attorney General says Brooks was pronounced dead December 10th, a day after these interactions with correctional officers was recorded.
I do not take lightly the release of this video.
James says the video doesn't have audio because the officers involved failed to properly activate their body cameras. It begins with Brooks being carried inside, handcuffed and face down. He's then raised up, face bloodied, and punched in various parts of his body. Brooks was serving a 12-year sentence for stabbing his girlfriend. His attorney says his death is incomprehensible.
I was there with Mr. Brooks' son and his father and his brother. They all watched the video as well. And I think it was just the overwhelming shock. It was just felt so incomprehensible.
NBC News has not been able to reach attorneys for the 14 people under investigation, but the president for the Correction Officers Benevolent Association, adding in a sharply worded statement, "The egregious and repugnant action of the officers who committed this heinous and fatal assault does not in any way reflect the values of the vast majority of correction officers, including my members." 13 personnel are currently suspended without pay. Another has resigned as the investigation continues. And yet, Tom, there are still questions tonight about what happened that led to the beating that we just saw. Tom?
Sam Brock with that disturbing new video just released.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Cardiac Kane, man. And if you salute me, I'm saluting you back. You already know what time it is. And right now, we're going straight in. First things first, I want to have a moment of silence for Mr. Robert Brooks. I feel like what's going on, what happened up in New York with the 13, 14 police officers with the heinous crime of brutally beating a black man while handcuffed, while in police custody to death was egregious and just there's no excuse for it. You know what I'm saying? First things first, yes, I know what the man was arrested for. He was currently serving like a 12-year sentence for stabbing his girlfriend. But the truth is in the details. He was serving a 12-year sentence. He was paying his debt. What happened to him got nothing to do with what he did. It doesn't justify him being brutally beaten while onlookers watched with slight smirks on their face. And this went on throughout history, man. To where this type of behavior from these type of people just go on all the time. And I feel like something just should be done. I do appreciate how the higher ups, the chiefs or the captains or whatever, swiftly came in and made a statement and separated themselves from these officers, letting it be known that this was egregious and they don't stand for that. And I believe that that's somewhat true. Everybody's not a bad apple, but there's so many, it's hard to decipher who's who in this cruel world, man. Watching that footage, and they showing this footage all over the news and the internet is not something you really want to see. Me watching a grown man of another color kick and punch and choke and grabbing somebody by their neck, manhandling them, kicking them. Like, these the people that you see in grocery stores. These the people that you see out and about when they're not in uniforms, and you feel comfortable thinking that they're a law-abiding citizen and everything is all good. But these are the people that have devious, deceitful, heartless, black hearts. And only God knows the evil men do. Lucky for the victim, the cameras were on standby, because the police officers didn't even cut their cameras on, which they're supposed to. That's protocol for them to cut their cameras on whenever they're encountering a situation such as that. But they didn't. But their cameras was on standby, so it still had footage, but not the recording. And there's no telling what was said. And I understand the blue code and everything, but I don't respect it. Especially when, if any of you police officers that was standing around call yourself good men, and you didn't let your partner know, hey man, you're going too far. This ain't, like, come on, man. How can y'all sleep at night? You just as bad as them. If you think it was okay to sit back and watch that and not say a word. My condolences to the family. And I just feel like, hey, it's always sad. During the month of like October, November, December, it's always seems like more crime and more just brutal acts of violence going on before we close out the so-called year. If you know, you know. But we already seen up in New York the gentleman, or I'm not even gonna call him a gentleman, the perpetrator set a lady on fire on the subway. Like, what's the world coming to? We already seen the perpetrator murder or unalive an individual, the CEO of healthcare, just for whatever reasons. I mean, this always happens like close out the year. I mean, and to see this right here, it just lets you know, man, you don't want to be in a, as a young black male, I don't want to be in a room. I don't want to be caught in this situation with someone that fits that description of those officers. I don't want to be caught somewhere alone in a situation where I could become a victim. It could happen to me too. That's just the way I see it. We got to be more careful as a people. We got to start demanding justice and just hold each other accountable, because that can happen to someone in your family. That can happen to someone you know. I guarantee you, if it was the other way around and it was African American police officers that did this to a Caucasian male, he probably would be up under the jail. I mean, already. Ain't no justifying it. They probably wouldn't have had the video on the news for all to see. It's all desensitizing us, and just I just thought that I didn't want to see that. I'm glad I did see it, but that's not something I wanted to see. I thought that was wrong. But again, my condolences to the family. But everybody needed to be held accountable for this situation. It was 14 officers. 13 of them have been suspended without pay. The other one just resigned. And I'm pretty sure the one who resigned was the one who probably did the drop kicking and holding somebody up above, just in the air by their neck. He probably did the most. But all this is unacceptable, man. And it makes me go back to the little scene in Django. Brilliant scene, but I pay attention. You know when Leonardo DiCaprio banged the hammer on the skull and just get in a dialogue about how the African American has this something in their skull, in their brain that gives them the compassion to forgive. They don't even have that hate towards, we don't even have that hate towards our slave masters. Our ancestors didn't have that type of hate. You know what I'm saying? And we still, knowing that all these years that we were treated this way, we're not the ones that harbor all that hate to our oppressors. But they harbor, not all, but the ones that do harbor that type of hate towards us. And I feel that way because the victim, he didn't do nothing to these officers. I mean, not that we know of. Maybe in further investigation, but maybe not. But what I'm seeing, he didn't do nothing to all of them, all 13 of them, to warrant that type of behavior. So, just in a nutshell, man, I say that to say this. At the end of the day, we all bleed the same, man. We need to appreciate the human life